Hey Steelers fans, let's dive into everything that went down in Cleveland because there is so much to unpack from that game. First off, it's not like the Steelers played outright poorly, but the problem was clear. They didn't create the plays that matter most, the ones that can swing a game in your favor. There was no signature moment, no play that breaks the back of the opponent and puts the team in a position of control. The energy was there, the effort was there, but execution in the crucial spots was missing. And that's ultimately what decides close games. Watching from a stands or on film, it becomes glaringly obvious how the offensive strategy, or lack thereof, put unnecessary limitations on the team's natural talent. Now, let's talk about the quarterback position because it's impossible to ignore. Aaron Rodgers arrived in Pittsburgh with a reputation for dissecting defenses through the middle, exploiting seams that lesser quarterbacks wouldn't even dream of targeting. But what we saw against the Browns was the opposite. He was consistently funneled to the sidelines, to short areas, and even when the middle was open, the ball rarely went there. It's a scenario that has been haunting Steelers offenses for years. No matter who is under center, from Ben Roethlisberger to Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, you name it. The template is painfully familiar. The head coach establishes an invisible no-fly zone over the heart of the field, and the offense is forced to operate in restricted lanes. Rodgers, who has the skill to punish defenses through the middle, was denied the opportunity to do what he does best. The result was inefficient drives, forced plays to the outside, and an offense that never truly threatened the field in its entirety. It's also worth noting the role of the offensive coordinator. Arthur Smith, like many before him in Pittsburgh, did not have a flawless day calling plays. There were instances of poor execution and questionable play design. Rodgers, for his part, made mistakes too, bad throws, misreads, passes that sailed too far or fell short. But the bigger picture is the systemic restriction that defines the Steelers' offensive philosophy under Tomlin. The decision-making, the fear of exposing vulnerabilities against the opponent, and the obsession with avoiding risk result in a self-imposed ceiling that prevents the team from maximizing talent. Watching the tape, you see wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs running patterns that do not exploit space or challenge the defense. Even players capable of making big plays like Pat Freiermuth were held back until the very end of the game, when finally the defensive coverage softened enough to allow a glimpse of what the offense could be. That late throw from Rodgers to Freiermuth, breaking free over the middle for the longest gain of the game, was a perfect example of the missed opportunities that permeated the rest of the contest. The running game, which should complement the passing attack, was active in flashes, but it never received the kind of balanced integration that makes an offense truly threatening. Jaylen Warren averaged over 5 yards per carry on a dozen attempts, and Kenny Gainwell showed consistency, yet their contributions were limited by the overall offensive game plan that failed to open space vertically. Even when crossing patterns and slants could have unlocked potential gains, the offense ignored them in favor of lateral, conservative passes. This created a situation where the defense could anticipate and adjust without fearing the full scope of the Steelers' capabilities. The alignment and usage of players were constrained, which translated directly into stalled drives and missed scoring opportunities. The coaching philosophy, especially the reluctance to challenge the middle of the field, stifled the team's ability to assert dominance in a game that demanded aggression and creativity. Now, examining specific plays, it becomes evident how systematic the issue is. Deep throws were rarely attempted, and even when they were, they often occurred in low-risk situations, like at the end of the half or near the game's conclusion, rather than being an integrated component of the offense throughout. Scotty Miller, an experienced and capable receiver, was frequently relegated to running straight lines along the sideline rather than exploiting his agility in crossing patterns or slant routes. Marquez Valdes-Scantling was targeted repeatedly but struggled to make meaningful impacts because the routes themselves were predictable and linear. Jonnu Smith, who can contribute in multiple ways, often ran short, lateral passes instead of stretching the defense. And the moment you finally see Freiermuth on the field, the impact is immediate, highlighting the fact that strategic placement of talent over the middle could have altered the trajectory of the entire game. Yet, this approach was largely withheld until the very end, emphasizing a conservative mindset that prioritizes risk aversion over seizing control. Turnovers were not the problem. Tomlin himself highlighted that the offense avoided mistakes, but avoiding mistakes is not synonymous with effective play. The defense generated takeaways, Jack Sawyer and Kyle Duggar each picking off passes, yet those opportunities were squandered because the offense could not convert them into points. The misalignment between defensive success and offensive opportunity is a recurring frustration. The game was structured in such a way that defensive stops were nullified by conservative offensive choices. This echoes a long-standing pattern in Pittsburgh, where defensive excellence can be overshadowed by the offense's unwillingness to fully exploit openings, particularly through the central lanes of the field. The restriction over the middle not only limits the passing game, but also reduces the effectiveness of complementary plays, undermining the team's overall potential. One of the most glaring illustrations of this issue came on 4th-and-1 situations. Despite having viable personnel, such as Darnell Washington and other capable runners, the team opted for standard plays rather than creative solutions that could have leveraged the strengths of individual players. The linear nature of routes mirrors a table hockey board. Passes only move laterally, forward, and backward, with minimal vertical disruption to the defense. It is a philosophy that has persisted under various coordinators and continues to shape the Steelers' identity. The consequences are predictable. Explosive plays are rare, defenses adjust easily, and momentum is difficult to sustain. The offensive framework, while minimizing risk in one dimension, creates predictability in another, and opponents are quick to exploit that predictability. This pattern also affects the use of veteran players and emerging talent. Scotty Miller, for instance, expressed frustration after being confined to routes that limited his natural skill set. Despite recognizing favorable matchups, the structure of the play calling left little room for improvisation or exploitation of defensive weaknesses. The absence of crossing patterns, slants, and creative middle field options continues to hold the offense back. Even when favorable opportunities arise, the conservative philosophy restricts their execution, leaving players and fans alike questioning why certain plays were not integrated earlier. The Steelers' talent is present, the skill sets exist, but the system restricts their full expression, resulting in a game that feels constrained despite individual performances that could have been game-changing. At the heart of this issue is the mindset of the head coach. Awareness of opponent tendencies and strategic planning is essential in football, yet allowing fear to dictate play calling to the extent that entire regions of the field are off-limits stifles opportunity. This fear manifests not in reactionary adjustments, but as a persistent framework that limits creativity and aggression. Even as defenses show vulnerability, the hesitation persists, and only in isolated moments does the offense seize what should be routine opportunities. The Steelers' performance against Cleveland highlights the tension between talent and conservative philosophy, demonstrating how systemic constraints can overshadow player ability and potential. The lesson is clear. Without the courage to challenge the field vertically and leverage the full array of talent, even capable teams will struggle to convert effort into results. Picking up from where we left off, let's dive deeper into the nuances of what went wrong offensively and why this isn't just a one-game issue, but a recurring theme for the Steelers. It's fascinating to watch, almost in a frustrating way, how much potential is on the field and how little of it is allowed to flourish. Take the concept of intermediate passing, especially over the middle. It should be a foundational part of the offense, yet it remains almost taboo. Even when the defense shows clear weaknesses, the plan rarely shifts. You saw flashes of what could happen when Freiermuth finally got his opportunity. That connection was electric, the kind of play that energizes a team and changes momentum. But it was a one-off rather than a reflection of a consistent strategy. The offense has all the components to thrive, yet systemic hesitation continues to limit them. It's not about the players' abilities. It's about the framework they are forced to operate within. The plays that demand risk, the ones that truly challenge a defense, are consistently deprioritized in favor of low-risk, lateral, or sideline-oriented passes. This conservative approach, while safe in theory, reduces explosiveness and prevents the offense from dictating the pace of the game. Meanwhile, the running game is productive in isolated situations, but is never fully integrated into the offense to exploit defenses vertically and horizontally. Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell showed glimpses of what could be achieved if the system allowed creativity, but their impact was capped by the overarching restrictions on passing lanes. The offense could have used them in short dumps, slants, and crossing patterns to destabilize the secondary, creating room for play-action passes or misdirection that could open up the middle. Every opportunity to exploit defensive tendencies in creative ways was filtered through the lens of extreme caution. The result is a predictable, easy-to-read offensive pattern that allows opponents to plan and adjust without fear of true vulnerability. Even when individual players can break free, as we saw with Freiermuth's late-game reception, these moments are treated as anomalies rather than standard operating procedure. That hesitation defines the Steelers' offensive identity under the current system, leaving fans and analysts alike questioning why certain plays are only seen in isolated instances rather than as a regular feature of the attack. It's also worth noting the impact on the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers, one of the most talented and adaptable quarterbacks in the league, is forced into a system that limits his strengths. The restriction over the middle prevents him from reading the defense and making instinctive throws that could break open games. He has the arm, vision, and timing to exploit mismatches anywhere on the field, yet he's funneled into predictable, sideline-heavy reads that rarely threaten the defense in a significant way. This is not unique to Rodgers. It has affected every quarterback to wear the Steelers' helmet in recent years. The coaching philosophy imposes a ceiling on performance, creating a situation where talent exists but is systematically restrained. Watching Rodgers navigate these limitations is both impressive and frustrating. His ability to still make plays despite restrictions speaks to his skill, yet it also highlights how much more potent the offense could be if given the freedom to attack vertically and over the middle consistently. Wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs are all affected by this approach. Scotty Miller, for instance, is an experienced route runner capable of creating separation and exploiting defensive soft spots, but the play design reduces him to running straight, predictable lines along the sideline. Marquez Valdes-Scantling is targeted frequently, yet the linear routes fail to capitalize on his speed and route-running ability. Jonnu Smith, who is proven capable of moving the chains with power and agility, often finds himself in lateral or low-impact patterns instead of engaging the defense in dynamic ways. The combination of restricted routes and conservative philosophy limits the offense's potential at multiple levels, turning individual talent into a series of low-yield plays. When the middle of the field is consistently avoided, defenders can cheat toward the sidelines without fear, further restricting the offense and putting undue pressure on the quarterback to make low-percentage throws. This systemic issue has persisted under multiple coordinators and continues to define the team's offensive identity, frustrating both players and fans who know what this group is capable of when allowed to operate freely. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The Pittsburgh Steelers locker room reportedly erupted in chaos following a tense clash with the Cleveland Browns, sources close to the team suggest, leaving fans and analysts buzzing over what could be brewing behind the scenes. Eyewitness accounts indicate that head coach Mike Tomlin was seen delivering a fiery message to his players, a rare display of intensity that insiders are describing as a warning shot rather than a routine post-game pep talk. While the Steelers' performances have often been a roller coaster in recent seasons, this latest incident seems to mark a particularly emotional turning point, sparking speculation about potential shifts in team dynamics. According to reports, the atmosphere in the locker room was anything but calm. Players were said to be visibly frustrated, with heated exchanges reportedly breaking out as tensions ran high. While details remain scarce, some sources hint at disagreements over play execution, accountability, and overall team discipline, suggesting that the internal pressure may be mounting faster than fans realize. Tomlin's response, described by observers as direct and uncompromising, has fueled rumors that the coaching staff could be considering adjustments in strategy or even personnel to realign the team's focus. Observers have noted that the Steelers have historically thrived under Tomlin's leadership when facing adversity, often using internal tension as fuel for future performances. Yet the intensity of this latest episode has raised questions about whether the current squad can channel this energy productively or if the friction could lead to lingering unrest. Analysts are already speculating on whether this locker room flare-up signals a short-term wake-up call or the start of a deeper shakeup that could reverberate through the remainder of the season. Fans have taken to social media, debating every snippet of information and trying to decipher what Tomlin's cryptic remarks might mean for the team's trajectory. Could this be the catalyst that ignites a dominant stretch, or is it a symptom of growing frustrations that might require more drastic measures behind the scenes? With insiders tight-lipped but rumors swirling, the Pittsburgh locker room has never felt more electric, leaving the league and Steelers faithful on edge. Whatever the reality, one thing appears certain. Tomlin's message wasn't just about the game against the Browns. It was a signal that the Steelers' standard will not be compromised, and how the players respond could define the next chapter of this storied franchise. Speculation is now rife. Will this fiery episode become a turning point or a cautionary tale of tensions simmering just below the surface? Only time will tell, but for now, Pittsburgh is undeniably a team to watch. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.